Unbelievable. I'm Tommy, and you are on the Lifeboat. What's happening? There are days everything goes right. I don't remember them, but I'm sure they happen. Then there are days where nothing goes right. Like that countdown, I hit that puppy at 19 seconds, and I never had a chance. It was odd. Things just kept going around in circles. Anyway, I'm Tommy, and you're on the Lifeboat, and this is one of those days, isn't it, people? This is one of those days. This is one of those days where, well, we'll get into that. Jason P., how are you? Feisty Kitty, what's going on? Kristen Melinda's here. Expat Heather. Heather, where are you an expat from? And where do you live now? Kristen Melinda, good to see you. Jane Aldrich, how are you, Jane? 55 degrees in North Texas. I'm sorry, that does not count as cold. No, I'm kidding. For that part of the world, it's actually pretty chilly. In Carnosol, what's happening? So, just another reason to hate changing clocks. I have a solution for that. I really do. I have a solution for that. If all of you just up and move, right, and hit up the great state that I live in, right, the great state of Arizona, we just don't fart around with that stuff. We'll let the rest of the country get busy with it, and we just go, no, not doing it. So I don't mess with it, which is awesome. You voted for Flash? I can see that. I can see that. Hey, Lisa Trimble. Well, thoughts and prayers for you. You know what? It's never easy when you're working through heavy stuff. It's never easy when there's a ton of stuff on the table that's bumming you out. But it's the kind of work that changes your life. Hey, Brenda, Darkly Noon, good to see you. What's happening? Hey, Miss Dragon. That's right. I'm not going to be talking about it either. What do you think of that? Galen, good to see you. Dale Cox, what's happening? Lisa Hill, Allison McCapalumbo. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about it. Catherine J, and I'm not kidding. Roberta, good to see you. DS Kitty Diane, Sweet Liberty. I'm not going to talk about the election. I'm not. And I'll tell you why. Because there is about half of this country, if you believe everything people say. Renee B, good to see you. That are going to be really bummed out tomorrow. And there has been all kinds of rhetoric going around for a really long time that if your candidate doesn't win, the world will implode within a couple of days, right? There won't be a country left. And I know that these are tough times and they're pivotal times, but no joke whatsoever. I've heard this my entire life, right? Have you ever been to an election where they didn't say, this is the most pivotal election of our time? Did you ever go to an election and they're like, yeah, this one doesn't mean squat. This is just one of those elections. It's kind of a waste of time. I don't even know why we're doing it, but we're going to come out here and knock it out. You can pick whoever you want. Doesn't really matter. Kind of one of those elections that just doesn't freaking matter. They never say that. They never say that. Zaphod, what's happening? Kestrel, good to see you. Malachi, Kestrel 42. How are you? How are you? So they're all pivotal, but I promise you, right? I promise you, no matter who they install in the White House tomorrow morning, well, it'll be January, but whoever wins this election, wherever we hear tomorrow is the winner, the sun will come out. We'll continue to grind on doing what we're doing. I promise you. Nancy, good to see you. Now, we all, everybody has somebody that they're pulling for. We're not going to pull for them here, right? We're going to talk about all kinds of other fun stuff. Cosmic Christie, good to see you. Unpredictable Tony. Well, that's kind of how I feel. Tangerine Tulip. You made a live. Get right out of here. Get right out of here. That's awesome. I'm so glad that you made a live. I really am. Welcome. Welcome, Tangerine Tulip. It's a great name. That is a great name. Whoa, hey, that just jumped by a crap load. Let me see what I just missed. Hey, Monica, good to see you. That's right. You know something, Renee B? What happened to the days where people thought like that? I promise you, if it's not the person that I voted for, it's still going to be my president. It is. And I hope we can all come around like that. James Collins, good to see you. LRM, how are you? Yeah, how are you? I'll tell you something. I voted in this election, people, and I go and I watch other people's stuff. Hey, Chrissy from Maui. Hey, Kathy, good to see you. Squirrel Girl, what's up? I watch other people's content and hear people say, I don't vote. I don't vote. Never voted before. I'm not going to vote in this one. I don't bust the chops of anybody for anything they do. I'm not a guy that's going to get here and try to shame people, unless you live like Diddy, right? And then I'm going to take you down. For real. Lake Erie, good to see you. If you're victimizing people on the real, then I'm probably not going to dig you. Dale Green, good to see you. But pretty I'm pretty chill. Kellyanne, good to see you. Incarnasol. Do, 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 do. Hey, it's Relatable Reese. What's going on, Reese? Good to see you. Glad you're here. I really am. I'm glad you're here. So I like the days of politics when, we didn't freak out. We just kind of, yeah. You remember. Yeah. Well, you know something? Here's the thing. Truthfully, here's the thing. Maybe don't, just a piece of advice, and you don't have to take it. You can hate me, right? I'm totally cool with that. But just a piece of advice. Maybe in the future, if we were all to commit to agree to never call someone who's running for president a foul ass name, right? Either party. Don't turn it into that kind of a deal. But you know what? It's our country, and it's kind of one of those things. Dale Green, how are you? Wow, I'd like to hear that. That's so cool. I really do appreciate that, man. That is awesome. Lake Erie 58, you tried to rewatch everything. Well, goodness, we thank you for that. But I'm glad you caught it live. It's way more fun when we're live. I love the replay crew. I really do. It's the largest part of the audience, but live is so much more fun because we can correspond. We can bounce stuff off each other. Dee Dee Dazzle, how are you? I know that there are going to be some bummed out people tomorrow. There's not going to be any gloating here. Right? Because there are going to be people that are bummed out, and there are going to be people who are really, really happy. But I would like to believe that we're a place where happy people aren't going to do something to make the people that aren't happy less happy. Zelda, how are you? But this too shall pass. Nesquik Milk, what's going on? Sandy Bowers, how are you? And I'll be honest with you, folks. I was pretty sure that I could predict this election pretty easily. I'm sorry, but I really could. And I'll tell you why. This is the first election in history that you can bet on. Did you know that? Sports book. Like a sports book. You can throw down money on a presidential election now. And they'll tell you if you bet on candidate A, right, you put up $100, you get back 60. You bet on candidate B, you put up $100, you make 304. Okay. Who's ever getting paid 3-1 ain't gonna win, right? Those kind of odds mean that it doesn't look good. Sean's wife was live with Jaguar and Courtney. No, I didn't see that. See, this is what happens when I get screwed into working and doing stuff. Brenda, I spend a decent amount of time reading about politics. I really do. Remember, don't tell anyone your vote or it won't come true. I like that. You know what I think is really cool though? The state that I live in, it's public record. You want to look if somebody look up and see if somebody voted, you can. And I think they do that so people can shame people that don't do it. Why else would you do that? Blessed to Crochet, good to see you. Coach Lisa, what's happening? Lacey Silver. I don't judge people that don't vote. I understand why people say my vote doesn't count, whatever. But it's like anything else, right? You spend 10 years in prison where they say you can't smoke a cigarette and your lungs are healthy and pink. And the first thing you want to do when you step out of that building is light up a cigarette. Now, I didn't smoke more than a half of one. And I went, oh my God, right? Got rid of it. It was just the most disgusting thing in the entire world. But it's when they take stuff away from you. And I lost my ability to vote. Okay, Flick Fox, how are you? Hey, cranky scientist. Yes, you can't see how they voted. You can see if they voted, but you can't see how they voted. But I like that. You know, I think it's a cool concept. And I did vote because I got my rights back. You know what I mean? Like I'm a citizen that can vote. And I don't know, man, it may sound really stupid. It's a big deal to me. And it's probably a big deal to a lot of other convicts. I've said many times that there's a lot about just being a free person that you just can't really appreciate until it gets yanked away from you. Hey, Coach Lisa, Lacey Silver, what's happening? Good to see you. Chicka Cherry Cola. Just Joan, how are you? But yeah, the incarcerated people in New Zealand can vote, apparently. Well, I'll be damned. I don't think we're far away from that in this country. When they gave out the stimulus checks, they gave them out to every single person in prison. which is something, isn't it? It's something. Yeah, I didn't get it. I was on the way out the door, and by the time I got out, I found out that somebody had already used my name to get all my stuff. No, Renee B, that will never happen. That will never happen. Now, there are people who can get those back. After a long enough period of time, they can go in there and they can fill out some paperwork. They're probably never going to be able to have one that they could hold in their hand, right? But they could have one that they could put up to their shoulder. That is not going to happen to me because of my particular crimes, right? The last time I got busted was specifically with pew-pews, a bunch of them. So they're never going to give me my rights back on that. And that's my fault, right? It is, honestly. That's my fault, not theirs. How does a felon get the right to vote restored? Well, this may vary by state. All I can tell you is the federal system. And what happens in the feds is once you're off paper, you no longer have to answer to them for any reason, right? Once that happens, then you can just go and fill out paperwork like any other citizen in America. You go out and you fill out your voting forms and do all of that stuff, but you got to be off paper. So you do a 5-year prison sentence in the feds. When you get out, you have a 3-year tail, almost always 3 years. If you screwed up really bad or you did something really foul, you can have 5 years, 10 years, lifetime. They can give you a lifetime. If you're a weirdo, if you got weird charges, they're gonna look at you for the rest of your life, right? But that tail, while you have that, you can't vote because you're still, as far as they're concerned, when you're out, but you're on paper, as the term means that they're still supervising you, you're still an inmate. Make no mistake. You're even counted on the rolls of inmates in the United States. These are people living at their houses, but because they're still on paper, for all intents and purposes, I am a federal inmate that they're being so cool, they're going to let me go out and get a job and live in my house, but I'm still an inmate. Now, if you do nothing wrong, and I mean nothing, you can't miss anything, you can't miss a drug test, fail a drug test, you can't do any of that crap. But if you do nothing wrong, you can file at halfway through your tail, halfway through your paper to get off of it. I did that. Crucial flow research. Well, I can understand why you'd be exhausted. Anna, how are you? DS Kitty Diane, you doing well? Casey, you doing all right? Hey, Spike, what's going on? P. Taylor, really glad you're here. So it's a frustrating deal. Buddhist Beer, I am glad to see you back. I'm glad that you're here. I really am. By the way, no, I'll get to that later. Sorry, because it's going to end up really taking off. Did I see Jaguar and Courtney's interview? Sadly, I did. That's disturbing as hell, man. And how great is that for the cause? You know, what bums me out is let's all do everything we can, right, to focus on the enemy. I mean, holy crap. 30 years of this dude running roughshod. Was there a day he didn't SA somebody? I mean, for real, you start to hear all of the accusations. Was there a day, like, honestly, one day a week where he's like, I'm tired. I'm probably not going to SA somebody today, and I'm not being funny. I'm not going for a laugh. But 13,000 phone calls, 365 days a year, right? If half of those phone calls are real, this dude spent a lot of his time doing what he is being accused of doing, right? If half of it's real. Squirrel Girl, I love that. I love that. Brenda, I also did not vote today. I voted early. Crimey Coffee, good to see you. It's true. I feel this way, right? I feel this way, but I understand why people feel burned out by the process. Felons are not allowed to serve on a jury, Deb. I will never be able to serve on a jury ever again. Now, honestly, that does bum me out. Believe it or not, because I know everybody wants to get out of jury duty, but that bums me out. Crimey Coffee Crew, what's happening? Good to see you. Shelly Kelly, hope you're doing well. Glad you're here. Hey, Regina Carter. You wanted to scream when he did the triangle. You know something? The hand stuff, right? Now, I will tell you something. As you work your way through some of those secret societies that aren't really secret, right? Masonry, stuff like that. There are 33 levels. On each of those levels, there's a different hand hand symbol that people do. If you got to come up with, right? If you got to come up with 32 of those, 33 of those, chances are you're going to come up with some that people just happen to do anyway. And you see this one a lot, where people do this kind of thing or they do this. I'm not giving this guy an out, by the way. I'm not saying he was not doing it or anything else. All I'm saying is that, for instance, this is one of them. One of those levels has got this as a hand signal. Now, I got news for you. I do this all the time, right? Because that doesn't mean to me what it does to other people. Mona says, I am a felon in Oregon. I can vote and serve on a jury. I am a federal inmate and I cannot. I have screwed up with the federal government, and that right has been taken from me forever. But I can vote. Hello, Rochelle, north of Saddlebrook. All right. Great weather today, was it not? It was a beautiful day. Hey, Russ Allen, how are you? So I'm pretty happy. Hey, Gail, I'm pretty happy that we're here and we're all being kind. For real. I had no doubt. There were a lot of people that said to me, I was talking to people earlier that said, you're going to go live tonight? The people will be tearing each other apart. Right? The Trump people will be yelling at the Kamala Harris people. I said, I don't see it, man. I really don't see it. It's why I called I put up the pictures of the two of them on the thumbnail, but I called it The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow, right? If you missed that earlier, it's going to come out tomorrow. It's going to come out tomorrow. I promise. Megan, how are you? And the people who are going to do the dramatic stuff and talk about the fact that they're going to die and all of these things, I got news for you, right? You want to feel that? Get sentenced. Walk into a court where you think you've paid a lot of money to an attorney who has assured you you'll be home in about 3 years, and then go in there and find out that you got a little over 10, right? That day sucks. Getting up the next day after that one. But you know what? The sun comes up. The sun comes up, and we just keep doing what we're doing. Hello, Maria. How are you? Cranky Scientist. Glad you're here. So can we get some thoughts and prayers for Blessed to Crochet, please? I'm so sorry, man. Sorry for your loss. Very cool. Very, very cool. And I don't care who you voted for. You scored, right? I don't care who you voted for. You scored. That's a great thing. And to share it with your kid is an awesome thing. It really is. I remember voting with my dad. I think the very first time I voted with my dad. It's a fond memory.
It's the whole enchilada.
Really?
Yeah.
Corner 3. Oh, so, I got a couple of emails about that. What the hell am I yelling? I'm saying corner 3. It's a reference to a 3-pointer. It's a bad joke from one of those adult cartoons that we watch a lot. But in the particular cartoon, they're picking on a video game that back in the day had a glitch in the system. And we used to play this game all the time. And once you understood that there was a glitch, if you went right to the exact spot you're supposed to, it was a corner 3 shot. And every single time you went there, it was going to be it's a guaranteed, it's a flaw in the game, right? But it makes it a lot of fun to beat the crap out of other people when you're playing. Corner 3. And that's that was the battle cry back in the day. It's going to turn out like it does, and all we can do is the best that we can do. Let me tell you something. I got news for you. This is going to cheer all of you up. And I'm not playing. I apologize in advance, right, for the Tommy rant. But I promise you, I'm not going to try to encourage anybody to get on any bandwagon. I'm not going to encourage anybody to vote left, right, center, right? Not going to do it. Galen, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Those symbols are all around the outside of the Mormon temple. We can still do things. If your party doesn't win tomorrow, for that matter, if your party does win tomorrow, if your party wins tomorrow, you're still not doing crap, right? You're just happy that your people are in office. Make this the 4 years that you get involved in some way. Get involved in some way. Whether it's, no matter how, bottom rung, right, of this process, sit in a phone room, make a couple of calls, do something to get involved in the process, because it's amazing that 99% of us do nothing in a society where we absolutely can participate if we want to. But then we will bitch as if we were the 1% that we're trying to make something happen. We can absolutely make differences, and we can make differences in places where we need it more than anything else, like dope at our border, because no matter who wins, we're holding their feet to the fire. I promise the shit's got to end. The stuff that's happening at this border is destroying us. Tommy, thank you for this channel. We lost our adult son in April to pneumonia at age 36. And I watched this on the tough nights. Thank you. Oh, I am so sorry. I am so sorry for your loss. I really am. It's horrific to lose a child at any age, right? I mean, we're not supposed to bury our kids, but 36 is young. I'm so sorry for your loss. I am. If there's anything that the Lifeboat is doing to make you feel better, Rochelle, God bless it, right? Because anything at all that I could do to help you in that way, I would really, really love to do it. Chase the Heat is always on fire, man. That's Johnny Scoville. That's my crazy brother, man. That's my crazy brother. And I'm not kidding you. He is crazy. Mischief Managed, thank you. Let's see here. Yeah, you really are on fire. There we go. There we go. See, now I got two screens. I know you're looking at like the side of my head. Avina Sativa, good to see you. But over here, you guys are like this big, right? Massive, huge screen. And it's all a touch screen, so I don't have to be good at anything anymore. Can we get some thoughts and prayers for Lake Erie, please? The number of times somebody has made that announcement in our chat has been terrifying, right? What I can say is that we've been really blessed so far with how they've been turning out. And I would like to believe that is going to happen again, especially if all of us are pulling in the same direction. You don't have to believe in God, by the way, for this, right? You don't. You can study power of prayer. There are people that believe the power of prayer works, not because it has anything to do with it, but who cares, right? If it works, we're going to do it. I believe what I believe. You can believe what you believe. But we do this for the people who are here because we are all in the same boat. And there are times we all need people to pull for us, right? It needs to happen. And sadly, we live in a world where we cannot make that happen. My son, who's an inmate, is watching the election. Someone might be behind the walls, but guarantee they're not stupid. And a lot realize the importance of current affairs. I got news for you. Straight up, I got news for you. 7 out of 10 guys in prison, if you have a political conversation with you, they're going to shred you because they got, 15 hours a day to read what's going on. They got 15 hours a day to watch news programs, right? There's nothing to do. They carry around radios and listen to talk radio all day long, left or right, doesn't matter. There's a ton of guys. They have little groups that get together and talk about politics. They're very, very involved. Most of the people I knew in there had very, very strong opinions, right? One way or the other. And I am so sorry. 3 times. Yeah. You know what? A gentle hug is a really lovely idea. It really is. It's a very lovely idea. Yeah, something, you did the right thing, Lake Erie. You can do more than cry and move on, right? You can do what you just did, right? I realize that you're not running your gyms, but it is a form of talking, is it not? It absolutely is. So instead of suffering in silence, if you come here and tell 165 people that, and nobody recoils and runs away, because in the real world that happens, sadly, right? Trust me, it happens. People don't want to watch friends of theirs who are sick. So a person gets sick and you avoid your friends. It's a terrible thing. And suffering in silence does things to you can't believe. Whether it's addiction, whether it's an illness, whether it's mental illness, whatever it is, right? Suffering in silence doesn't pay off. Cassidy Reynolds, thank you so much. You look amazing in green. You really do. It's your color. It is your color. Kirsten says, you guys have already helped me so much. and I've only been aboard a few weeks. I should be asleep, but I saw you were live and hopped on. This is such a safe place for me to be. How cool is that? How cool is that? I absolutely love it. I really do. Vampy, how are you? Hello, Tommy and crew. Ooh. Hello, Tommy and crew. I had a comment. I usually watch on TV. Tommy is the sweetest. Oh, well, that's a kind thing to say, Vampy. Thank you. And yeah, I understand that. So if you're watching this on TV, you can't do that, right? You can't leave comments. That's bizarre to me. Coach Lisa is tossing them out like hot sauce packets. 5 of you are about to turn into members. And if you are, right, you can toss a 4 up there in the chat to say thanks, right, for Coach Lisa. You know what, Avina Sativa? I love you. I really do. Look at this. So I dig this. I will be thinking of you tonight. You have strangers praying for your peace. Man, I love that. Kellyanne says, remember, we all stumble, every one of us. That's why it's a comfort to go hand in hand. Ooh, man, that's awesome. Man, is that awesome. Looking good. Looking good. I love it. I love it. That's right. Nothing can change if no one knows a change is needed. Do not suffer in silence. And I got news for you. I'm not gonna. We have a juggernaut coming up. For those people who struggle with anything, I don't care what you struggle with. If you've got struggles, starting about the 3rd week of this month and going to about the 2nd day in January is a mother on everybody involved. Gail, glad you're here. It's a mother. It's a very, very, very tough time of the year, right? It's a very tough time of the year. And for a lot of people, I've talked about this many, many times. When I was incarcerated, not in county jails, in prison, like in an actual penitentiary, I did not celebrate a Christmas in prison that somebody I know didn't unalive themselves. And this is also not unique to prison. This happens on the street. And very often it is the depression season. Absolutely, Badger. It's the depression season. And there are people who don't get along with their families, and there are people that just don't like kind of that whole thing and the partying and all of that. So instead, what do? We withdraw, right? And what's the opposite of addiction? Connection, right? Connection. There is nothing more important than connecting with people. I swear to you, especially during the holiday seasons, especially for those of us who really struggle, right? Drug addicts are really, really a big deal around the holidays. This is a very, very difficult thing to do, right? Very difficult thing to do. And you know what, Gail? I was talking about this on one of the earlier chats, and I talked about it with one of the people from my 5 today as well. It's amazing how kind all of you are to other people. It's astounding. But the people that I work with on the daily, and I've been doing this for a long time. Hold on one second. We've got struggles, right? I knew that was a lyric. I'm glad that both of you found the lifeboat. I really am. You know, the good news is I do not, right? I do not do content for members only. I don't. I'm never gonna. When we first designed it, it was a very different kind of a concept. And the trouble became the first time I went to do that, right? The first time I went to put content out that the only people that were going to be able to see were members, I literally felt sick about it afterwards, right? If I'm doing something that I'm doing to help people and I'm saying the only people that can get to that are people that pay, I'm a scumbag. And I'm not going to do that. So, really, it's almost like just saying, hey, I'd like to support the boat and get some cool emojis because this is, I'm never going to do that. I'm never, ever going to restrict. So I love that people support it, but don't feel like you got to do anything. You know what I mean? Don't feel like you got to do anything. But there's 5 more people turning green. I love that. Yeah, Mischief Manage, I am so glad you're running extra shows again. November is really crap month for me. Happy to have this boat. So am I. November's not a great month for me either. And December's tougher. Very often for people coming into this season, right? We got what, 27,000 of us or something like that. There's going to be a crap load of people in that 27,000 who lost somebody this year. And it's going to make Christmas the first time that they're ever doing Christmas without somebody that they love. And that's a very, very difficult thing, right? And I really, hey, Nick, how you doing, my man? I'm glad that you're here. Yeah, you know what? One of my favorite people. Don't be silent. Speak up and talk to someone. Don't bottle it up. Reach out. This season, we're not losing anybody on the boat. If you're one of those people that is stuck at home, if you're one of those people that don't have a family, then choose one. Pick yourself a better one. If you didn't get a good hand dealt to you in the family department, fold, right? And pick your new family. They say you can't choose your family. It's a stupid expression. Of course you can. Of course you can. And you don't even have to fill out paperwork and adopt and do all of that stuff. Although I did. One of my two kids is adopted. You can pick your family any way you want. The number of brothers I have that my mother did not sire is incredible. The number of sisters I have that, were not born with the same last name as me, but people who I've chosen to be sisters and brothers. People that reach out every single day to make sure I'm all right. And there's a bunch of them. And Gail, I love it. Someone gifted you a membership. Woo! I love it. And Coach Lisa does too. Very, very cool. This is an amazing group of people, says Feisty Kitty. And you know what? It really is. This is a very, very cool group of people. And it's going to get better, I promise you. But we this Christmas we're keeping everybody happy. I promise you. It's how it's going to go down. I left my ex-husband in 1994. I decided to treat our anniversary and his birthday like any other day. Acknowledge it, but don't go there. It's worked pretty well. Do you want to hear something? This year, in the month of October, I was cooking along, right? Doing what I was doing and staying busy because of everything that we've got going on. And a day came up in the month of October, and I looked at my brother and I went, do you know what today is? And he goes, no. I said, it's 4 days after one of my anniversaries. 4 days after it. So not only did I not remember that puppy, but 4 days went by before I even realized that I didn't remember it. You know what does that? Huh? I'll tell you. Jamming your life full of new stuff. Yes, you absolutely are a big sister. Make no mistake. This is one of the people I was thinking about when that happened. This is one of the other people I was thinking about. No, I didn't do naked yoga for members, but you're going to sell a hell of a lot of memberships. I like that. Thank you. Vampy just gifted a membership. Thank you, Vampy. You're going to sell some memberships for me. I think, honestly, that was a quibble thing, right? That was my partner who said that, I think probably just trying to be funny. And we did sell like 12 or 13 memberships that day because I had put up some yoga. It probably didn't make everybody happy when they found out I was fully clothed. But yeah, that was one of those. Squirrel Nut Zipper has been feeling the election vibe all day long. For real. This cat's been going bing, 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 bing. She's been in zoomy mode since about 4:30 this morning. Has not stopped. Absolutely has not stopped. See, there you go. I started that rumor. I knew it. Had to pay the kindness forward. I love that. I've had 2 losses this year. One of my 2 horses. Oh, I'm so sorry. And then my mom passed a month later. It's been a rough year for me, but I'm thankful for the support of friends. This is a great example, Lisa B. And I'm sorry for your loss. I hope you don't mind that I use you as an example. But you did put it up there, right? Thank you, Cassidy. Look at that, people. More people turning green. This is a perfect example. So for Lisa B, as this Christmas and this Thanksgiving approach, you're doing it without mom for the first time. I can't tell you the number of people on the boat who are going to be doing things this holiday season for the first time without people that meant the world to them. And very often it means we withdraw. And when we withdraw, right, we're not connecting. So if you already have a drug problem, it's a really surefire way to go back to doing what we do, right? The default setting is I don't feel good. I'm uncomfortable in my own skin. I know what to do. Right? I can make that go away for 8 hours at a whack. I just need a syringe and oh man, it's so much more healthy. Journal, right? Eat right. We're going to beat this stuff to death in this month and the next one, but we're going to get through it. I promise. Last year, we did a hell of a lot more content in starting right around Thanksgiving and going right through the second day of January. We put out a crap load of content. Like we went over the top with the amount of content we put out. And if you were here last year, you probably remember it was really cool, right? We picked up a lot of people, and it was a very cool time on the boat. And when it came to the end, somebody said to me, if you hadn't put up the number of shows that you did, I don't know that I would have gotten through this holiday season. And it was a beautiful thing, to hear somebody say. And I thought to myself, we'll do more next year. And on the bright side, I got Spanky, and there's, my brother's here with me at this time. So we're going to be doing a lot more content in the month of this month and in the month of December. So I promise you, we're going to be doing it. Oh my goodness. Your mother had heart surgery yesterday? The snake, the catheter kind? Oh, okay. Yeah. Angioplasty. Isn't that what they call that? Somebody smart, tell me if I'm right. I think it's called angioplasty. K-dubs. Goodness gracious. That really is hot sauce packets. Now, those babies are flying. They're flying. You know something, people? It's election day, right? It's election day. We're 36 minutes into a YouTube channel where I promise you we're a divided audience, right? I don't have an audience that leans in one direction, right? I have people in this audience that lean hard in both directions, and no one's given a crap. If this can be done here, I promise you it can be done anywhere. But the difference is, right? The difference is you absolutely, this is one of those things, right? This is one of those. My book will be available the second the lawyers are done with it. Honestly, I would be shocked if it's not this week. I really would. I would be shocked. That's why I'm here. We're not divided, right? It's not hard. Thanks again, K-Dub. Love it. It's not hard. This isn't a hard concept. We can do this outside of the boat. I promise you we can do it, but you got to want to. Right? Do you know why it works here? It's simple. It really is. Let's say we'll pick on Cassidy. Cassidy Reynolds shows up, right? And says, hey, you know what? This is how I voted. You're all idiots. It's like Dead concerts. You ever go to a Grateful Dead concert? If a fist fight broke out at a Grateful Dead concert, like 9,000 people would look at the people fighting and go, oh, what are you doing? You're so uncool. Like no one was going to hit the people. They just sat there and said stuff like, oh, why would you do that? You're so uncool. Why are you even here? You're not a nice person. It's absolutely astounding to see what that kind of treatment does. But when you are around people, right, who are all positive, it is so much easier to pull in that direction. It really is. If we learn nothing in the entire year of 2025, right, I promise you, what we need to learn more than anything, right, is garbage in, garbage out. My kid did a great show this morning, right? And what he was talking about originally, I think the start of this was because he's worried as hell about me because I spend about 10 hours a day researching the most depressing crap in the entire world, right? I'm reading allegations of SA on children, right? And I'm reading this 5 or 6 of them a week, 7 of them a week. They've been nonstop. They've been coming nonstop since this case started. And it absolutely starts to take a toll on you, right? It starts to take a toll on you. I think that's pretty normal. Yeah. Okay. Well, this is kind of what I got to do. That's what I do for work. It's one of the reasons that like now we're not talking about that crap, right? I like being able to connect. I like to be able to do shows where we don't talk about the stuff. But more importantly, you got to get to a point, I think. Happy birthday, Candace. Oh, wait a second. Happy birthday, Candace. Candace, happy birthday. That is so cool. And thank you for spending it with us. Real sassafras. I am sorry to hear that. Says I've been depressed for weeks. Do you find yourself stuck in a room? Are you laying in bed? A lot of times.
Much.
Wow. Corner 3. A lot of times as we start to get depressed, it gets almost impossible to get out of bed. Right? It gets almost impossible to get out of bed. My son did not get me into YouTube. I got my son into YouTube. My brother is a big YouTuber. My brother's got a silver play button. He's got like 160,000 subs or something. He's got a ton of subs. So my brother's been in it for a long time. And I was planning on doing public speaking. I was planning on going around the country to talk to people about the things that I talk about here. And my brother was like, why would you do that, man? You no longer have to live in hotels, you asshat. I lived in hotels for a really long time. And you know what? That sounds cool. It's not. I promise. People used to say all the time, oh, man, I'd love to do that. No, you wouldn't. You'd hate it. You would hate it. I was the worst programmed, hyper-aggressive political goon who was elected to the DNC. If I can find the space for observation to hear what's said beyond the words, I love that. I love that. I absolutely love that. And I'll tell you something. I'm learning that you can be friends with people, that you can tolerate people that are diametrically opposed to the things that you are. And I love people. There are people in my life that I love, and there are things that we cannot agree on ever. They're never going to be something that we're going to be able to agree on. So boundaries become the most important things in the world. Thank you, Cassidy. Look at that. More people turning green. If you're stuck in bed, right? If you're stuck in bed, if you're unable to move, it's astounding. It's astounding how much getting outside, right? And changing what you smell, what you see, all of it, right? What you hear. When you get outside and you begin walking and looking around and your senses start to pop, the automatic negative thoughts, right? Automatic negative thoughts. You know what I'm talking about? The voice inside your head that says stuff like, we're 2 months behind on this bill. Dad never liked me. Your mom liked my brother better than me. I'm not good looking. I'm not very popular. People don't like me. School sucked. And you just get on this roll, right? You just get on this roll. I'm a loser. And you just keep telling yourself this. Right? Automatic negative thoughts. Well, there's a if I got to anybody here that's really smart, there's like a law of physics that says two things cannot occupy the same space at the same time, right? I'd have to knock this one out of the way if I want to put something else in the exact same space. A thought is the exact same process. You can't have two thoughts at the same time. People might say you can, but I promise you can't. It doesn't work that way. It just simply doesn't. Hey, Squirrel Nut Zipper, what are you doing? Hey. Are you not getting in the basket? Get over here. Didi Razzle Dazzle says, thanks to mods for being lightning fast. And I'll tell you something, they are. They're absolutely the best in the business. Squirrel Girl, good to see ya. Thanks so much. You just watched Ren and always think of ants. Automatic negative thoughts, right? Couple of things. If you can change what you're looking at, if you can change what you smell, if you can change what you hear, right? This was me. If you can get outside and start walking around and looking at things, temperature changes, you smell different, right? You're not in that same room. It absolutely changes, right? Your perspective. It absolutely changes your perspective. And it's been huge for me. It really has. It's been absolutely huge for me. Also, not only do I withdraw, right? When I start, but the first thing that happens to me is, the absolute first thing that happens to me is I give up on my routine. And when I give up on my routine, I'm screwed. I get up in the morning and I get up really, really early. It's a hangover from how long I did in prison where they pop the doors really early in the morning. So I start this day at 4:30, right? That's when I start. There she is. I start my day at 4:30 with this cat, by the way. But I have a routine. I get up, I make my bed, right? I get in there, I brush my teeth, I sit down, I journal for about 20 minutes. I do yoga for an hour. And then I go and I make my first cup of coffee, right? And that's it. And then I start my day. If I were to sleep and not do any of those things and then try to have my day, I will go to crap within about 3 days. I promise you. And within 2 months, I'll be back on the needle. I'm not kidding. I have 46 years of doing everything wrong, right? I have 46 years of doing everything wrong. I got less than 10 so far of doing everything right. If I don't stick to my routine, I'm not successful, right? The kitty litter is in the corner. It is the canary in the coal mine. If that cat's got dirty litter, I'm not healthy. I'm in relapse. Doesn't mean I'm getting high, because relapse is a process, right? You don't just go, oh, I'm going to use. No, it's small little things, little incremental things, right? I told the story, but since most of you here are new, I had married an attorney. I got out of prison and I had married an attorney, and I was working as a public speaker again, and I needed some shirts, dress shirts, and my wife at the time said, just put it on the credit card, handed it to me, said, go shopping. I said, I think I'm going to go check Savers first, save a lot of money. And she's like, why? It doesn't make any sense. I'm like, people donate really incredible stuff, like good name brand stuff. It's also this close to the hood. It's this close to the hood where I bought dope for decades, right? But honestly, it's not what I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking I'm going to go. I'm not. But subconsciously I am, because I drove over there and I walked in and I'm looking around at the shirts, and on the way out, I turned and I looked and I thought, you know what? I'm a 1-minute drive from my friend's house. And I can tell you his name because he is no longer with us. His name was Lenny. He's a Vietnam vet that I did a lot of heroin with. But in your head, you go, well, I'm not going to go say hi to a guy that I've known for 20 years. Because what? Because I'm sober. So now what? I'm never going to have a friend? Right? Thoughts. That internal voice. What's it trying to do? It's trying to get me back to sticking a needle in my arm. Why? Because it's so much easier than getting up and making your bed and then journaling and then doing yoga and then, right? The default setting is 46 years of failure. My body doesn't want me to succeed. I promise you, my brain doesn't want me to. So I have to put into place all kinds of things that, keep me in line, that keep me healthy. And I need canaries in the coal mine. I need things that if I stop doing them, I know I'm in relapse. So what happened? Here's what happened. I went over and saw my friend, and he goes, oh my God, man, when did you get out? And I said, I got out a while ago, man. And he said, are you using? I said, I am not. He said, you look like $1 million. I was in a Mercedes in the hood, just stupid. But he goes, man, I just called the dope man. I said, go figure, right? I mean, of course you did. So I threw him $50 because I had a pocket full of cash, and I knew what $50 would do to him buying this stuff. He's never going to get clean. He didn't. There was no hope. I'm sorry. It sounds terrible, but there wasn't. I tried for years to try to help the dude, but this was something that was really deep ingrained in him. But I didn't do dope. I didn't. I got back in the car. I said, thank you. He goes, you sure you don't want a bag? I said, I do not want a bag. I'm good. Right. I don't want it. And he's like, all right. So I don't know how I worked my way back to Savers, but about a week later, I was back at Savers. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go see Lenny. I didn't do anything wrong last time, right? I went over, I hung out, even tossed him a little money for dope, and I walked away. I'm a savage. I hung out with him this time for probably 45 minutes, an hour. We told stories. We laughed. While I was there, the dope man pulled up. He bought bags. I didn't touch him. Third time back, forget it. Third time back, when I stepped out of the car, I said, call him. Call the dope man, right? And he was a good enough friend to go, don't do this, dude. Get in your car and drive away. And I said, nah, man, I want this. Make the call. And he said, this is the last time I'm going to tell you to get away, and then I'm going to make the call. Get in your car and take off. But you see, I had been in relapse for a month. The first time I drove over to Savers, I was screwed because I didn't have a way of realizing that, you know what, that was the first step. Within about 2 or 3 days of that, I wasn't getting up at 4 a.m. Started sleeping in a little bit. And I quit making the bed. Because really, is it all that big a deal? What difference does it make if I make the bed? Honestly, it's a stupid little thing. Why is it such a big deal? Well, because my routine is my routine. And more importantly, the first thing I do in the morning, the first goal I have is to make my bed look good when I get out of it. I have set a goal and I have accomplished it, right? I have my first goal of the day accomplished, and it's not even 4:30, right? That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. Then I journal. Second goal of the day. You know what I'm doing? I'm succeeding. I'm getting good at setting goals and knocking them out, right? I journal. I get that knocked out. And then I do yoga for an hour, right? Third goal of the day. And by the time everybody else is getting out of bed, not only am I up and going, but I've already got 3 things tucked away that I was absolutely raring to go to knock it out. These are things I couldn't have done for 46 years. I couldn't set a goal. Didn't have the ability. You know why? Because I only had one goal. I only had one goal. And that goal was don't get sick tomorrow. That was it. Don't get sick. Yeah, my former addict friend said he had to make the bed every day to set his morale in motion. That's a beautiful way to think about it. It's a beautiful way to think about it. I love that. That's what you're doing, setting the tone. And it's going to sound crazy, but you know what you're saying? You're saying to your brain, tell you what, you're not running the show. You're not running the show. We very often think that our soul, our brain, all of these things are the same thing. They're not. Orange says, what do I journal about? Okay, there's a couple of different ways that I journal, right? The first thing I do is if I'm going to bed, I write down what happened to me during the day, and I kind of try to do it in the chronological order. And I mean, I'm not going to write down insignificant stuff, but if I had a clash with somebody at work or somebody said something in the chat that really bummed me out, instead of taking that emotion and putting it away, I write it down. And I write it in an order as close as I can to try to keep it in some continuity, because when I go to sleep, my brain doesn't turn off. That's a myth, right? Your brain, a second part of your brain goes to work when the other part shuts down. It's a night shift. There's a day shift. What I'm doing is I'm organizing everything in my brain so that when I hand it over to the night crew doesn't have to do that work. And when I start dreaming, dreams are going to help me work through the things in my life that I can't work through. Why? I don't know. Maybe working through a breakup of a relationship, I'm going to need to be able to fly in order to figure out exactly how I deal with this. Or I'm going to need a horse in my bedroom, right? The stuff that happens in a dream that couldn't possibly happen any other way. Jam, 10 months. Thank you, Jam. Time flies when you're having fun, huh? So I want, when I first fall asleep, for all of that to be easy so that the night crew can get to work, working on my subconscious, so that if there's anything I didn't quite work out, stuff I need to work out, my brain will take care of it while I'm asleep. Right? Then when you wake up in the morning, what do? You get up and you do your day? No. The reason that I get up and I journal is because before I start the thinking part of my day, I'm going to take whatever the hell's in my head and I'm going to do an info dump onto paper. Why? Because the night shift might not have finished their work. You understand the concept, right? You understand the concept. Before I start my day, I want no thoughts in my head. None. Because I got a whole list of crap I got to get done today, right? I'm calling the Sean Atwood program. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Corner 3. Taking care of all of this. If I'm not getting organized, if I'm not doing all of the things that I have got lined out, and the way I've got it lined out. Raven, good to see you. Karma Chameleon, what's happening? And ones to all that need him, and a hug. Yeah, and you know what? There are going to be some people that are going to need him. Tomorrow morning, there are going to be some people that are going to. You're going to see people on news programs tomorrow. You might not, because a lot of us don't watch news programs. But you're going to see things on news programs tomorrow. And it's going to be people talking about throwing themselves out of skyscrapers or buying tickets to a different country because they can't possibly live in a world where the person who got elected. It doesn't matter who got elected. There's going to be some people, what we need to do, right? What we need to do, I promise you, if it's the person I didn't vote for, I promise you, I'm going to rally behind that person. I'm going to. I've been watching for so many freaking years that as soon as somebody gets elected, the first thing they do is see if they can't rub that person out, right? Both sides. Man, maybe I'm just not going to buy into it. And whoever gets elected is going to be my president, and I'm going to pull for them. I'm not going to make jokes about them. I'm not going to do any of that crap. I'm going to elevate me and how I deal with this stuff to a more classy way of dealing with it. Because I haven't been the classiest camper in the world on this. I haven't been. But I promise you I'm going to be a hell of a lot more classy about it. And I try not to talk about it here because I don't think what we have in common is so much more important than what separates us. The vast majority of you have probably not robbed a bank, gone to prison, run guns, or any of the stupid stuff I've done in my life. But we've all had that feeling of where we're not comfortable in our own skin, yeah? We all know that feeling? It's what makes some people snort something. It's what makes some people smoke something, drink something, put something in a vein, right? Or eat, right? Eat until your brain does the same thing for you that the drugs would, right? It's going to release chemicals that make you feel fantastic. Coach Lisa says, yeah, let's elevate ourselves. And you know what? Here's the beautiful thing. We don't have to. We don't have to count on anybody else. We really don't. What we need to do, right? There's no political party in heaven. I love that. I love that. I really do. It's I remember a president that we had making a speech at the United Nations. And the president said, I wonder how fast we would all stop being this country, this religion, that religion, and just become people on the earth if we got attacked by a different planet. How quickly would the world go? Yeah, I don't really care if you're from Iran or Egypt or anything else. We all got to pull in the same direction. It would happen that fast. So why do we need to have somebody shooting at us to make that happen? Right? I do believe, and maybe it's all the dope I did. Right? Maybe it's all the dope I did. Maybe it's because I got hit in the head way too many times. But I do believe that we can right this ship. And I don't mean the boat. I mean the planet. I believe that we can right this ship. Christy Hughes, do you know that I'm going to be in Vegas this year? I have something that is going to be taking me to Vegas this year. I just found that out. Kristen Melinda, I am glad that you're here. This has been uplifting as heck. You know what? This audience has a way of making people feel better, right? They really do. Just humans, says Gail, right? How hard is this? Right? Human beings. Not, by the way, not black human beings, not white human beings, not gay human beings, not straight human beings, right? None of that crap. Not fat human beings, not ugly human beings, human beings, however they want to exist, right? And just have a little grace for how people want to be, right? A little bit of grace will go a really long way. Do you know the number of people in the last, say, month and a half that have disappointed me, right? With the thing that I talk about the most. Don't care your religion, don't care your politics. Are you moving closer to love or are you moving closer to hate? People that I would have bet my left leg would never do the things that they're doing now. What they're doing is moving closer to hate. Sad. I'm not kidding. It's sad. And you know what? This isn't spilled milk. We're growing by 150 people a day, right? The boat's on fire. But I don't want to see anybody fall off of it. I really don't. And I don't want to see people that were working pretty hard on who they are just become trolls or become haters or become anything else. But I'll tell you something. I am absolutely going to be moving toward love for the next 4 years. And that's the only time that's not going to happen is when assholes on this boat move toward hate. At which time I'm going to have to be a bit of a dick and get rid of people. But then I'm going to get right back to that love thing. I promise you. And you know, I'm not trying to sound like I want everybody to get in a circle and sing Kumbaya, right? Although that wouldn't necessarily be such a bad thing, to be honest. But that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that here you go. Let my man say it. Because this is it. This is it. Kindness, compassion, understanding, and love. Right? Counteract fear, anger, aggression, and hate. Right? Plain and simple. You know, how do you deal with somebody that hates everything? Love them. Right? Get some other people to love them. See what happens. There's a guy on this boat. There's a person on this boat who I promise you used to hate everything. I got an email from him once. Good God. First of all, it took me about a day and a half to read. And he cataloged all of the people he hated and why. All of the groups he hated and why. It was absolutely one of the most terrifying things I've ever read in my life. That man is the nicest human being I've ever met. For real. He had a life-changing experience. And what changed his life was the love on his boat. I'm not kidding. At a time when he really needed a lot of prayers and people pulling, everybody was there. And I think it overwhelmed him. And I don't block people and unblock them. Doesn't happen. If I block you, you're done. Right? Unless it was an accident. But if I block somebody for being a dick, they're never coming back. There's been one exception to that ever. Right. And it was a great decision because he is one of the kindest people on earth. I'm not kidding. And he's certainly one of the kindest people on the boat. I love him. It's amazing how much people can change. Everybody take a moment and feel the love here. The Lifeboat is truly a special place. Much love to all and ones to everybody that needs it. Everybody in need. Jason P. Love you, my brother. Anna Snow. Good to see you. Hey, Rick Spicer's here. What's happening, Rick? Doing all right. Dale Green's here. You know what, people? In case you're new and you've never seen this, right? This right here. That is a cat in a basket. Normally, no joke, in the course of a year, if I do 700 shows in the year, she's usually in the basket for about 500 of them. But she's been on a bit of a tear. You know what I mean? I was going and spending time in Tennessee, and the cat got a little pissed off at me, I think, when I was out of town. When I came back, she had a bit of an attitude problem, if you want to know the truth. I mean, all cats have an attitude problem, but Squirrel Nut Zipper was, she was in her feelings. There's no two ways about it. She was in her feelings. Yeah, Miss Dragon, it's exactly who you think it is. It's exactly who you think it is. And he is an amazing human being. He really is. He's a brother. He's a brother, and he's one of the great human beings that I know. I would he could stay in my home, right? He could come and visit me. And I don't say that about a lot of people. I really don't. Wow. I bet you I bet that Kristen Melinda agrees with you because she's worked as a therapist. I have met many vulnerable young men, teens who are only angry and negative because it is safer for them than showing the vulnerability that positivity takes. You just described the first 46 years of my life. Perfectly. I was never going to show people who I was because that shows weakness. The number of times I have cried, and I'm talking about ugly cried on this show, and I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. It took me a really long time to realize that strong men cry all the time, right? The stronger the man, probably the more often. The rap. Hey, Johnny Scoville, how are you? What do we got here? Do we have a Perez? What's up?
They're projecting.
They are projecting. They're implementing. Kathy Ann, how are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. Rocket Queen, how you been? Good men cry, right? Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, I should have figured it out a very, very long time ago because my dad did, and he was probably the only truly honest man I ever met in my life, right? Well, the screen guy at Ace Hardware is a real angry, dishonest young man. He yelled at me for his mistake, and I don't like confrontation, so I give up. I'm sorry to hear that, TC. That sucks. That sucks. And you know what? I'm sorry, but I would call him. I would. You never should have to put up with that. I'm sorry. That's unacceptable. That's freaking unacceptable, right? I would call down there and just tell him about my experience. And I would say, I'm not wanting you to fire this dude and drag him out of there. He's a kid. But you need to talk to him because he's hurting your business. You know what Johnny's looking at? The sports book. That's what he's looking at. Because we spent a lot of time in our lives around gambling, sports books, bookies. They're usually pretty much on. Wow. Mousy. I love it. Look at that. Got the fastest wrenches in the business. The owner of Ace Hardware is a slumlord, so not into dealing with losers. All right. You know what, though? I respect the hell out of that. Never try to teach a fish to ride a bike, right? You're going to waste your time, and you're going to piss off the fish, right? And it is a waste of time to try to convince people of something that they're diametrically opposed to, right? Just be nice to them. Be nice to them. Be the sweetest people that you can possibly be. Have people freaked out by how kind you are. Have people so freaked out by how kind you are that they want to come and say, what's different in your life? What are you doing that's different? Because you really seem like you're at peace. You really seem like you're happy. That's how I want to live. Seriously, I want people to look at me and go, that cat's happy. All right? Happy. Corner 3. Yeah. So, people, I've kept you guys here long enough to I think that we can all agree that no matter what happens tonight, the sun is going to come up tomorrow. We're all going to be okay. Absolutely. I love this, right? Christy Hughes, thank you so much. And like I said, I'm going to be out in Vegas. We're going to have to get something to eat. I'm going to be doing some stuff there. Anyone here that is alone and possibly lonely, maybe reach out to each other and find love and happiness together. It happens all of the time, right? It really does. There's a lot of people here who have made brothers and sisters and people that have fallen in love. There's a lot that has happened over the years that we've been here. For real, for sure. Thank you, Tangerine Tulip. New Zealand, huh? Benita Jenkins says, I was born this way. I respect that. I'm not sure if I was born this way or if I did enough damage along the way, but I may have been. I may have been born this way. Certainly some of it. There you go. There you go. There you go. Thank you again, Christy. This is right? We're Americans. We sure as hell used to be, right? We used to be. I think we can do this again. I have very high hopes. I'm not kidding. I have very high hopes that this is the election where when this is over, we're all going to rally around whoever the hell gets elected. I promise. You got my word. If it's not the individual I voted for, it's not going to change. I mean, I'm not going to be happy. I'm not. But I'm not going to piss and moan about it for the next 4 years. I'm going to get behind that president. I'm going to root for them. We as a country root against a president of our country if he's not from our office. That's jacked. That's jacked, right? If you happen to vote, if you vote Republican and there's a Democrat in office, you want him to fail, then you're an idiot. You're an idiot. If he fails, our country gets hurt. You're an idiot, literally. But sadly, that's how it is. They don't want whoever gets in office to get a win. Come on, man. Anything that is a win is a win. Squirrel Nut Zipper is a tortie. She's a tortie. Christy Hughes says, this is my family. I need a husband. I'm hot and rich. Well, there you go. Look at that. Hot and rich. Those are two really fantastic things, right? Do. I love it. Whoever our president is, I will support them. You got my word. I'm going to do it. Got my word. I'm going to do it. Now, if they do something horrific, I'm still going to comment on it, right? You know, if they do something I think is wrong. However, I'm not going to hope they fail, right? Whoever gets in there, I would like them to make this a better place, right? I really think that's possible. All right, people, I'm going to give you one more cat in the basket, and then I am going to call it an evening. But I can make you a promise. You heard Canada's nice? Yeah, they won't let me in. I can't go to Canada, right? Must be nice. Must be nice. I'm a fruits of a misspent youth, I'm afraid. I am the Admiral, Tommy Scoville, and this right here, that is a cat in a basket. All right, people. I'm going to be back tomorrow. Between now and then, reach out and try to save somebody. Have a good night, everybody.